Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam, and this is the final episode of Season 1 of my Backyard Plant Propagation series. I am going to do a Season 2 and build a sturdier house than this PVC house, and a little bit bigger, a little more space, so we can put a few more things in it. In this final episode, I'm going to show you that I'm going to pull the flats out. It's about mid-September now. Anything that's rooted, I want to get it out of the house. I want to get it fertilized. We did not fertilize any of these flats when we first put them in. Really no point in it when they don't have roots on them. But now it is time to get some fertilizer on them now that they can start taking some of that up. We want to get them in as good a shape as we possibly can before we start to overwinter them. So let's take those out and I'll show you the fertilizing first. I didn't take out the last two flats we did of the season. The Miskim lilacs are rooted. The Nandinas are pushing roots. The camellias are not quite rooting. They are calloused. My sky pencil hollies that we did near the end, or the Steeds hollies, I can't remember what that was. They are rooted. The Vitex is rooted, but I've got some blueberries that we had done in the episode before this one, and a couple of them are starting to push roots, but I'm going to give these another week or two in this house, and then I'm going to pull them out and do the same thing I'm about to show you on the others. What I'm holding in my hand is a slow release fertilizer in a prill form. This is one we use at the nursery that lasts a very long time. You can get Osmocote at the box store or any garden center. Would work fine for this. I'm going to lightly broadcast this over the things we had rooted. I want to get maybe 5, 6, 7 prills in each cell, and I'm just going to go flat to flat doing that. I don't mind if it bounces around. I just want to make sure that I get some in every single cell. And I'm going to go across all of these and do that. I had already put them on the blueberries because I did a follow-up video to my blueberry propagation video. The perennial flat here, I want to show you everything in this flat pretty much ended up rooting. I let the corner over here get a little dry, and so I lost a few things on the corner. The other thing I lost this season was my loropetalum right there. I put this loropetalum in the house about the same time I decided that I was overwatering everything in the greenhouse, and obviously should have kept a little more water on those because they failed miserably. I've got forsythia in this flat. The blackberries are 100% rooted. They always root. But overall, these are the flats we did. We still have 2 in the house. And I'm thinking we got somewhere in the 90% range overall. Certainly more than 80, less than 95%. So I got all the trays fertilized. I want to talk about this alternative method that I used. The blueberries that I stuck in here on my blueberry propagation series right here, I got about 8 out of 15. The gardenias here rooted absolutely perfectly. I put some forsythia in here late in the season, and most of those have rooted. Most everything else I put in this house rooted initially and then failed on me. And I just couldn't figure out why I wasn't having to water the entire season. I have not re-watered this box once. And it's honestly my own lack of thinking on this. It's something I know, and I just didn't think through this season. This thing needs to be ventilated. I should have drilled about 6 holes in the top of this. That would have let out some of that humidity. I need to dry some of that water out of this space so that I can replace it with some fresh water. Occasionally, I think there's just stagnant water in that soil, and that's what rotted a lot of my cuttings. It's my fault that we put perfect cuttings in here. I got probably 85% to root, and then I would proceed to lose one after another. So I probably only ended up with about 30% of what I stuck in here rooting for the season. It needs about 6 holes in the top, and it would have probably performed quite admirably. So let's talk winterizing in here. I'm in zone 7, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything back in this house about the 1st of November when it starts to get very cold in my area. When I built this, I put in a spot on the other side to drain the water out of these pipes. You definitely want to make sure you do that because it will freeze inside of this thing enough to bust these pipes, and you'll be rebuilding them next year. All I'm going to do in this house is put a little cotton cover. We have cotton covers that we use to cover the nursery plants at the nursery. I'm going to cut one the appropriate size and just lay it over these flats in here. This clear plastic house will warm up in the afternoons in the sun and thaw anything out that gets frozen in my area. In zones 8 or 9, you can probably just put the flats back in and not really worry about it all that much. In zone 6, I'm going to list a mat in the description of this video that is for seedlings. And you can lay that mat on the bottom of this greenhouse and then hook a thermostat to it, which I'll also link in the description of this. The two are fairly inexpensive, and I think that will be adequate to hold the temperature up above freezing. We want the thing to be cold. Keep that in mind. I don't want to keep these cuttings 80 degrees. I actually want to keep them more like 35 degrees. That would kind of be ideal. We would keep them dormant, but not too cold to actually get damaged. So I'm going to link those two things in the bottom. You'll just pull all your flats out, lay that mat in the bottom, hook up your thermostat, plug it into a wall, put the thermostat on a very, very low setting, and then put your flats back in, sitting elevated like we always do. That should be perfect. In zone 5, I think you're really going to need to bring these into a garage. If your garage has heat, that is an issue, because heat will dry these things out. It will desiccate them during the winter, and I don't think they'll wake back up for you in the spring. One other issue to think about if you're in an area that gets some snow, by leaving the plastic on this house like I'm talking about, you have the potential for it to be flattened by snow. The way I built this one, it's at such an angle on the top, I think any snow is going to slide right off of it. I don't get a lot of snow in my area anyway. It'd be really easy for me to come out here with one hand and just right off the top, you know, take whatever snow is on this thing and just slide right off. If you built a house that has more of a dome shape like this, the snow has the potential to accumulate on top of it and actually flatten it. So keep that in mind. You're going to want to clean that off. If you're in an area that gets a lot of snow, you may want to consider not having plastic on a house like that, unless you are definitely in a position to get it off very quickly each and every time. So keep that in mind. That's one issue. So if you've got rooted cuttings right now, get them out of the house, put them under the edge of your deck or someplace that's in the shade, but not, you know, and keep them elevated off the ground like we always talk about. No direct sun. Throw some fertilizer over the top of them, and about 2 months from now, we're going to put them right back into the house. In zone 6, you want some bottom heat. Zone 5, not in the house. Zone 7, 8, and 9. 7, I'm going to offer a little protection in the house. 8 and 9, not going to worry about it. So that should do it. So I hope there's a lot of you who've had some success rooting this summer, and good luck with overwintering them. I'm going to bring this series back in the winter and build a more permanent structure in this space that's a little bit larger, and I'm going to put some bottom heat in it so we can start doing some conifers in the late winter or early springs. So thanks for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for future videos, and comment below with any questions you have about propagation. Thanks again.